and welcome back to another video on TGM Guitars. First of all, I'd like to start my video off by thanking everyone who's subscribed recently. We're about 620 subscribers, which is crazy. So today we are looking at the Sonicake pocketmaster. So this is my first foray into a proper little digital device. I've done some amp modeling stuff on the computer before, just been directing through my audio box and then used some amp models on the computer, but I've never actually got a little digital effects unit. So this is a digital effects processor made by Sonicake, who you can buy on Amazon. They're quite popular on there. And basically what this is everything you need for a little practice session in a nice compact little product. So they call it the pocketmaster because quite literally you can fit it in your pocket. It's got some very basic sort of buttons here. They do bigger versions of these which have got some foot pedals on them, but this came in, when I bought it, it was on offer at £40, 40 Great British pounds. And my reason for buying it is you're thinking, I've got all these amplifiers, you've seen in my videos, I've got the computer I can run the effects through. Basically, I need an on-the-go kind of little amplifier setup to leave at my partner's house. So this was what I decided to go with. So it's just got your simple input and output, so you can put headphones onto it or run it into like some sort of speaker. Then you've got the USB-C. You can use this as an audio interface, although I've found it tends to be a little bit buggy. So I prefer to just run it into an audio interface for the recording we'll be doing today. And then just your charging. So this is a fully wireless little system. It's got a built-in battery, and yeah. So if I just turn it on quickly, you have a nice little interface, which I'll show a bit closer up when I'm doing the actual demo. I'll have my usual camera over here. But you've got a nice little interface that goes through what you've got on it, the effects, the amp. So what I'm going to do today is go through some of, not all of these built-in effects and just go through some of the patches. I'm currently also downloading to put into here a neural amp modeler setup. So this can take those NAMM setups and run them on the system. So you can have a replica of your amp setup if you want and have it on here, which is great. So without further ado, let's jump over to the guitar and see what this little thing sounds like. Okay, so before we start the playing, just a quick run through of the setup. We've got my PRS Sack Myers and straight into the Sonicake pocketmaster, which is then going into the audio box i2 recorded through Cakewalk. It's that simple. So as you can see here, I've got a nice little camera setup with the pocketmaster in shot. So if we go back to preset number 1, first of all, if you press both of these buttons on any of the presets, that is, you get a tuner. So you've got a way of tuning your guitar on the fly without having to have an extra clip-on tuner, which is really good. I won't bother tuning my guitar on video because it's not fun to watch, is it? So let's just click back into there. And you've got a bunch of presets that they've already set up for you, which some of them sound pretty good. This is the first one. This is the pocketmaster. So I'm guessing this is kind of them trying to show off the capabilities of this device. So it's a nice kind of big rock tone. As you can tell, it's got a fair bit of reverb on there, quite a hot tone. So with this, if you hold down your little button there, you get this little screen. So you can put a drum kind of machine on it and play along to that. I don't really use that. It doesn't sound brilliant in my opinion. You've got some settings there. So within here you can change your input levels, what the USB settings are like, check your firmware, all your typical stuff. And then in the effects, this is where you set up your patches. So as you can see within here on the bottom, we've got a bunch of different selectable patches we can go through. So you can add up to 2 effects before the amplifier. You've got a bunch of amplifiers on it. If you want to see what is actually on here as terms of amplifiers and effects, then you can have a look on their website. I just want to go through what it sounds like, a basic demo, and not get too deep into things, because I know those videos can be really long and really boring to watch. So we've got two effects that go in the front, the amplifier, an IR cabinet, an EQ to let you just tweak it a little bit post amp. So if your amp's a little bit too harsh, you can sort of turn it down. And then you've got some post amp effects. So that'll be the things like, as you can see, the analog chorus, a delay, reverb, and then your volume of the presets. You can adjust that as per. So that's all the parameters you can do. You can turn all those effects on and off. So if you wanted to have two of the same, and then you just click this button to go to the next preset, that could turn a pedal off if you wanted to use it for live purposes, which, to be honest, you probably could with a PA use this for maybe some limited live performance, but some live performance nonetheless. So that's how the Pocketmaster sounds with some drive into an amplifier. And you can get some nice sort of harmonic squeals on this. It's quite impressive for just such a small little device. So yeah, it sounds pretty damn good. So if we go to the next preset, Sweet OD, some of these are quite nicely set up. It's obviously set up so it shows off what the device is doing, but these are quite usable presets. So this kind of sounds like your typical slightly crunchy amp. So let's put it onto the neck pickup of the PRS. Personally, I don't like that one too much. It's a little bit too, sounds a little bit nasally to me, even though it says Sweet OD. It's kind of almost gives you the kind of money for nothing vibes, but not quite fuzzy enough. Next up, we have the Chill Clean. So a nice, pristine clean. So a nice clean, I mean, what can you really say about clean tones? I know people go on about, oh, that's not clean and stuff like that, but clean tone is, it just doesn't really do too much for me. It's got its uses, definitely, but it's a clean tone, what can you say? Neo Soul. So a nice little bit of grit on there. So the UK metal, where you start to get into kind of the higher gain territory, which I think is one of those things where the digital stuff seems to do high gain quite well and does sort of your cleans very well, but everything in between you don't get much feel, but this feels like pretty good. So sounds pretty good. Twiggy Blue. So this is going to be, again, one of those in-betweens that I stand corrected. That sounds pretty good for a kind of in-between, slightly crunchy tone. but definitely usable. I think if you were in a studio situation and you needed something that could do a little bit of everything, you could take this along with you. You could just throw it in there. Maybe your amp's not quite doing it. You'll probably be able to find something on here that works. There's a lot of kind of gritty rock sounds on here. So we're going to skip through. I'm not going to do every preset. I mean, who wants to see that? It'd be pretty boring. If we go to, I believe it's the Kyoto Solo one, is where I have got something a bit different set up. So what I've done is I've gone on to the Neural Amp Modeler website, the Tone 3000 or something like that, and downloaded a patch. So this patch is a PV6505 with an OD 808 in the front. And it's a full rig setup. You've got to make sure they're full rigs on here. You can't do multiple patches. You probably, I mean, there is the RR speaker on it, so you probably could just do an amp head, but full rig works the best. So we do have to turn this up because it's quite a quiet one. But now we've got some proper, real gritty amp tones. And if you're into this kind of stuff, you probably load some pretty nice settings onto here. Apart from me forgetting how to play my own songs. So for some reason it's a little bit quieter. There might be some stuff I can do to tweak that, but that is a neural amp model, so it's an actual model of a real amplifier. So you can tell sort of it just sounds that little bit sweeter and just feels a little bit nicer to play than your typical kind of dry sounding digital. There are also some bass patches on here. You can do bass guitar if you want to. I'm terrible at playing bass, so I'm not going to sit you through that, but there's some patches on here even for your bass players. So what I'm going to do now is probably show off the drum machine. As I said, it's not the best, but it'd be a bit of a disservice if I didn't show off that feature. So if we click on here, go into the drum, you got some pretty basic drum. And you can have it as just sort of a click. As you can see here, we've got the metronomes, drum volumes, drum BPM. So it's only really a metronome to practice along to, but if you're practicing something like sweep picking or just keeping in time or building up speed, you can use this as a nice little metronome. So I believe we click on that. There is also a mode where you can use this as a looper, which, forgive me if I can't remember how to get into this. There we go, we're in the looper mode. You hold down rather than just the click you do for the tuner. And you can play along to yourself in a looper mode. Now for this, do really need this on the floor, so I'm not gonna play too much, but if you just did the record. There we go, and if we played. Now, I'm not really good with a looper, I've not put much time into it, and I probably won't use that function, but as a practice tool, this thing would be absolutely perfect. And ultimately, that's what I'm going to be using it for. I've got all my equipment for when I want to do something a bit more serious, and then this is just for playing about with. I mean, I've used it at home a few times already. Rather than coming into my guitar room and plugging in to all my amplifiers, I just plug that in and it's good enough to practice. So something to have in your gig bag, something to kind of take around somebody else's house, which is what I'm doing. It's great. So yeah, that's a bit of a concise little demo, but there are so many on YouTube that go into all the details, and I don't really want to bore you much more than I need to. So there we have it, the Sonicake pocketmaster. A great little tool for practicing, for sort of jamming around people's houses, or just popping in a gig bag and using in an emergency situation. You never know, you might need something like this. And for £40, I'm not sure what they retail for at the moment, I'll chuck it out on the screen. It's a no-brainer. I mean, it's also a really good way to have a little play about and try out the digital universe. There's so many devices out there nowadays, such as the Line 6 Helix, the bigger Sonicake pedals, the Boss GT1000. This could be your gateway into that world. And it's great. I mean, it's got so much on it, you don't really need much more. You've got the option of adding in your neural amp modeling stuff. And, you know, it's not a one-trick pony. It does everything. So it's just everything you could need in a tiny little package for not much money. But yeah, definitely recommend getting one of these if you just need something to use. I'm going to be obviously using this a fair bit. So yeah, I can't say how good this little thing is. I was so impressed the day that I got it and plugged it straight in. I wasn't expecting it to sound as good as it did. I thought it was going to be one of these cheap little gimmicky things, but I wasn't too bothered. It's just a practice tool, but it's impressive. You could probably record with this, as I've said. I mean, the whole intro jam you would have seen was all sounds from this little thing. So yeah, that said, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will try and upload more videos and not neglect my channel as much, which I've been really bad with. It's been almost a year since I uploaded a video, but I've got something coming out soon on a little upgrade I'm doing to one of my guitars. So stick around for that one. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the future. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Cheers.